Hello, my name is Matthew Darlitz and I'm the Editor-in-Chief of The Neuropsychotherapist, and welcome to another weekly video report. I'd just like to thank all of you that have played a part in the recent survey where I asked, would you like the magazine to be quarterly, bi-monthly or monthly? And it seems the overwhelming majority would like to see us do a monthly magazine. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We'll have a 40 plus page magazine every month, as opposed to a 120 plus page magazine every quarter. And we will be doing it in the same electronic format that you're used to, and hopefully it'll be a little bit more satisfying having a regular publication rather than having to wait every quarter. So that will start in October. Now, as we like to do, we're going to cross down to Sydney to say hello to Richard Hill and see what he's found out this week. Thanks, Richard.
Well, hello, Richard Hill from the Mind Science Institute, once again looking at what's interesting this week. And I want to continue on in my little theme of the right side, left side, right hemisphere, left hemisphere discussion that I started last week. And this time I was looking at an interesting discussion in relation to creativity, right side, left brain type of activity. And I was referred back to an article in Scientific American from 2013 by Scott Barry Kaufman. Very interesting, talking about, again, this idea of, is the right side all this really fabulous creative stuff and the left side all this rational, logical, organized stuff? And of course, like I was saying in my last week's discussion, it is important of the integration and the complementarity of these two hemispheres. Now, I like the way that he goes through and says it is necessary for the sorts of creative input that the right side, the more generalized, the more overall, the more contextual, to come then and to be listened to and engaged with from a left side organizational and focusing and attention making, and then also creating the specifics and the detail of that creativity. And then, and McGilchrist talks about this also in The Master and His Emissary, for the left side to give back, or for the right side to lift it up from the left side, and for the right side to rework it into the context, and then for the process to the left, and then the process of the right. But these things also, we know that the corpus callosum is an inhibitory process. It's actually allowing the two hemispheres to do their own work without interference from each other. So these things are actually sort of going along at the same time. The difficulty is, I suppose, is that the left side does have this capacity to look as though it's observing the right side, because we're able to be more consciously aware of it, because we can speak of it, we can reflect on, oh look, I'm being creative, I'm being this, I'm being that. We know from Jill Bolte-Taylor's wonderful talk about her left-sided stroke that she was having, and how she would go into the right side and everything would be all connected and engaged, to the point where she even felt like her arm was a part of the wall. But then, thank God, she said, for my left side, because my left side enabled me to be able to focus and realize that I had to make a phone call and I needed to survive. So what she says, which is really nice at the end of her talk, is it's not about right side, it's not about left side. It is about what you choose and what you allow to be engaged. And when you start to work with right-sided stuff, there's a degree to which of what you trust. What do you trust of your creative capacity to simply allow the system to flow, and for that system to flow in a favorable and creative direction? And this brings me finally in full circle to my curiosity-oriented approach, which very much starts with that's interesting. Shift the mind, the brain, into a curious frame of mind, a dopamine, norepinephrine, Rafe nuclei, that reticular formation, that thalamic burst. First of all, get the brain into that stage. Then look for the problem, absolutely. But what is the message in the problem? Left brain helps you see the problem. Right brain lets you see the message, the contextual relationship. Then What do I create from this? And to some degree, what do I create from this is the trust that we biologically and neurobiologically, and it's hard to say to specify this, but I think one can say spiritually, will move towards a positive, creative, constructive, well-being outcome. That is the principal desire of our biology, our neurobiology, and our connection through the right brain to the greater context. So, having talked about those sorts of fascinating aspects, let's quickly have a look at a couple of things that are going on, and there are a couple of Gottman things going on. Now, in the States, in Seattle, we've got the Seagull Gottman Summit going on in July 25th to 26th, 25th, 26th. That's fantastic. Go along there if you're in the States. Now, but if you're in Australia, in Newcastle on 6th and 7th of November, there's Gottman Marital Therapy Level 1. And this is not taken by the Gottmans themselves, but by wonderful representatives of the Gottman Institute. And it's organised by Relationship Institute Australia, Australasia. We'll have the connection on there. So that's a wonderful. If you're into your Gottmans in America, you go see the Gottmans. Here you see the wonderful work of the Gottmans. And one of the things that amazes me about this is that when you go to the workshop there and you're training, you get a 300-page manual included in your fees. So that's pretty good. Anyway, from me, allow everything to come, to be differentiated, but then to integrate. And in that way, create, and for us to be creative and engaged and have an experience that moves us towards well-being. As I say in my lectures, the purpose of life, to creatively participate in the experience. I wish you well. Bye for now.
Thanks so much, Richard. And we'll leave the links at the bottom of this video, as we normally do. Now, once again, it's across to California, where we have Dr. Dave, and we're going to find out what's been happening on his show, Shrink Wrap Radio. Thanks, Dr. Dave.
Hello again, Matthew. Hello to you and to all your readers out there across the wide world. It's Dr. Dave once again here to tell you about my latest podcast interview. This will be number 412. It comes out on July 17th, 2014. And the interview is with theologian Matthew Fox about his latest book, Meister Eckhart, Mystic Warrior for Our Time. Now, Meister Eckhart is a name probably that many of us have run across many times. I know the name has a familiar ring for me, but I really didn't know anything about him, really. And for example, one of the things that I found out in the course of this interview was that Carl Jung refers to him 30 times, and that Carl Jung's theories were very much influenced by Meister Eckhart. And who was Meister Eckhart? Well, he, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, lived in the 600s and was excommunicated by the Catholic Church, and was a mystic who was far ahead of his times. And that's explained very fully by my guest, Matthew Fox. Now, Matthew Fox is somebody that I've heard about over the years. He's well known for the concept of creation spirituality, and maybe some of your readers will be familiar with that term. He is the author of 30 books, including not only Meister Eckhart, Mystic Warrior for Our Time, but also The Hidden Spirituality of Men and Christian Mystics, and 27 other books and lots of writings. And something that he has in common with Meister Eckhart, and I don't know if this is what draws him to him or not, he's written about Meister Eckhart quite a bit, is that Matthew Fox was also expelled from the Catholic Church. He went on to become an Episcopal priest, and I kind of asked him somewhat jokingly if maybe this was like when you get fired from a job and then later it turns out to be one of the best things that ever happened to you. And he laughed and agreed about that. So this is what the book looks like. And I highly recommend it to all of you out there. It is very well written. It's easy to read. And it introduces you not only to Meister Eckhart, but also to lots of other thinkers. It introduces you to major Sufi thinkers, major Buddhist thinkers, did I already say Sufi? I said Buddhist, major Jewish thinkers, and also to some contemporary mystics. He goes into shamanism and so on, and a lot on Carl Jung too, and Freud, because he's showing these intersections of just how contemporary Meister Eckhart's thought and insights into spirituality were. So I'm probably not doing Meister Eckhart or Matthew Fox full justice. You'll just have to listen to the show and make up your own mind. And since I have your ear and your eyeballs here, let me just make an announcement here about the Shrink Wrap Radio site. Over the years, many people frequently ask me, well, what's your favorite episode? And I've never been able to single out one interview or one interviewee as, quotes, the best. But I finally come around and decided to list a bunch according to topic area, because it really depends upon what you're interested in, whether or not that one might be best to you. So it's a work in process, but I already have a bunch of the best episodes of Shrink Wrap Radio listed on the site. And you'll see a link to that. It says Best of SRR, which stands for Shrink Wrap Radio, in the left-hand tab, left-hand sidebar on the site, or under the Feeds tab, you'll see the Best of Shrink Wrap Radio. So check it out, if you will. And so back to you, Matthew.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Dave. Well, that's it for this very quick weekly roundup of what's been happening in the world of neuroscience and psychotherapy. Until next time, this is Matthew from the Neuropsychotherapist. Have a great week. Bye-bye.